In this part, number 2, we're going to get into the different aspects of bonds and the insurance and the whole financial framework surrounding that. We're going to show you some clips that'll actually prove this to you and show you how you can prove it to yourself. This is what you've been looking for, I can almost guarantee it. And it's still short. We're trying to keep these first couple of parts edible, so it's not too much for you to chew. Again, this was brought to you by the Shield of Souls Assembly, created for this very reason, to get you this very information. It's also brought to you by Green Mountain Greenery. They exist to try to save the world, but with herbs, bringing back and showing you the power of nature. Check them out. Now sit back and check out part 2 of Fraud from Birth.
The idea that the United States committed these and other horrific crimes against humanity and participated in the 9/11 incineration of thousands of its own citizens is too frightening a thought for many to consider. But even more frightening are the consequences of denial. Did the world wars, revolutions, and big events of human history evolve naturally, or were they calculated and pre-planned? If they were pre-planned, who planned them, and what are they planning for the future of humanity? The answer to this puzzling question can be found within the boundaries of 3 of the world's most powerful cities. Those 3 cities belong to no nation and pay no taxes. They are Washington's District of Columbia, which is not part of the city of Washington or of the United States, the inner city of London, which is not part of London or England, and Vatican City, which is not part of Rome or Italy. These cities, called city-states, have their own independent flag, their own separate laws, and their own separate identity.
There are currently 2 systems running this country.
You said you're a nationalist, right?
Yeah, I'm a statesman, if you will.
Okay, you're what, 40? How old are you?
43.
And you think that being a U.S. citizen is what you strive for, right? Like,
no, I have rights. That's
Yeah.
like you guys have privileges granted to you by the government. I have rights.
What does that mean?
What does that mean is that they can mandate you to take a shot if they want to.
how does that work within the laws? So are you mandated to drive 55 miles per hour?
See, the answer is no. I'm not.
I knew that was coming.
It's a city ordinance violation, and I have constitutional rights.
Yeah.
Right? And one of those is I can travel across this country. You can't impede my right to travel if I'm not breaking the law.
Okay.
And the speed limit is not a law, it's a city ordinance violation. And according to Black's Law's Dictionary, which every court in the country goes by, the definition of a crime is when I commit harm to a person or entity, which I'm not doing any harm to a person or entity by going 80 and a 55. Now, I don't drive around speeding everywhere.
No,
I believe.
I'm trying to use that as an example.
No, absolutely.
The Social Security number is not American. It is an international agreement with the United Nations. You go to issa.int and it will pull up, and it's called the International Social Security Administration. The post office, the Universal Postal Union. That's where zip codes come from. Yep, zip code lookup takes you right to the United States Postal Service.com's website. It's international. How do I know it's illegal for it to be in the states? Because the Constitution says that the federal legislation and the federal government is only allowed in a 10-mile square of such district. So the states are not supposed to be having zip codes. These are international agreements. And then you show up to the DMV and they require international agreements in order for you to participate in what they call giving you permission to drive an automobile. Everything you do based on an interaction with the police, an attorney, or the court system by way of fake judges called administrators are international. This stuff is illegal. This stuff is unlawful. This stuff is unconstitutional. Ask questions. Call your attorney general. Write a letter. Ask questions. Call the Social Security Administration, who is illegally set up in a state. Is this an international contract? Is the Social Security Administration an international organization? Go ask them. I got no reason to lie to you. I don't make no money from this stuff. Y'all don't pay me nothing. Is this an international organization? Go call the post office. On whose authority do I have to give you a zip code? Go ask these businesses and ask that you're doing business with, and ask them what law requires me to give you a zip coded address in order for me to live in my country. I was born here. What are you talking about? I gotta give you a Social Security number. Go call the bank and say, what law requires this? And then you got to start saying, hey, did you know the Social Security number is not American? It's international. It's actually against the law for them to be requiring this of us. This stuff is serious. We got to ask questions, and then you present these things to the court. You say these are not international contracts. Well, I talked to the Social Security Administration. They said this mug international. I got from the website, the International Social Security website. We got to learn to ask the right questions because this shit is illegal. All of it. It's all illegal. Not supposed to be here. You saying I have to provide a zip code? Can you show me in the law where I'm supposed to provide a zip code? Where on? Yeah, you can't just be requiring stuff that the law doesn't require, because there is no law requiring a social security number. No, I asked them. Here's the paper. I asked the commissioner of the Social Security Administration. There is no law requiring a social security number to live and work in the United States. Even if that's you. That ain't me. I live in Mississippi, but there's no law requiring it anywhere. Now, who told you that? Where you get that information? No, you got to show me, or I'm taking you to court. Ask questions.
Did you know that your birth certificate and your social security card are directly a result of this? Without this, you don't even have that. So let me tell you, your birth certificate, your social security card are both from this, and it still exists because there's a trust account right here. It's attached to your birth certificate and social, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. Here's a death certificate, American Banknote Company. Here's a birth certificate, American Banknote Company. Both of these are mine. These are family members for the death, and this is my actual birth certificate. So it is a banknote. Why is it there? It's there because of this. See, judges know something that they can't tell you. And this is where good judges are going to need compassion from us, we the people. And this is why. The judges are fully aware that we are trading on a stock market. They make a retirement called net retention. Now, I'm going to show you how the net retention works. The county clerk files a form. It's a bid bond. It's called the SF-24. Let me show you. SF-24 bid bond. Bid bond, that's the form. The county clerk files this. The county commissioner, do we have any bonds today, Miss County Clerk? Yes, we do. These are them. After that's filed, there's another bond that's called the SF-25 called a performance bond. County clerk files that next. This is the paperwork the county clerk files. This paperwork is going to the Department of Fiscal Services to get that money from your trust. The trust attached to this and to this banknote company certificate right here. And here's the final one. It's called a payment bond. It's called a 25A. County clerk files this. The county clerk knows because they file these forms. You would think, but they don't know. No, they don't know. You see this right here? This system, court registry investment system. They take those bonds and they get to trade them. They split a percentage. The judge gets the highest percentage, then the prosecutor, then the county clerk, she gets a cut, and finally the defense attorney even gets a cut of the person's bonds that are traded on the stock market that come from his social security card and his birth certificate. That all started from this back in the year 1666. Now, I don't know about you, but citizenship and citizenry is starting to look a lot like something I'm wondering about. I don't know. What do y'all think? Just saying. So this is what happens. When they retire, the prosecutor, the county clerk, they start getting checks. They get checks when the bonds mature in the trading too. When it trades, it makes money the entire time. So the county clerks are stacking up money. The judges are stacking up money, and they have an interest in finding people guilty because they make more on the performance bond part. They don't get the performance bond unless the person goes to jail. See a conflict of interest here. That's why I say they know it's evil. But what can they really do about it, considering the corporation won't cut them no breaks?
Because in maritime courts, corporations can only contract with other corporations. A lawyer can only represent you as a corporation. And let me ask you a question, Ann. Can your corporation run a red light?
No. My corporation cannot run a red light.
No. So he's giving you an affidavit of fiction because he works for a legal fiction, and he's trying to get you to respond to the legal fiction. And if he can't get you to respond to the legal fiction, he can't contract with you. In that case, what you want to do is let him commit the crime. We're going to operate on acceptance. Not that we're trying to trap him or anything. We're just trying to educate him, right? So the first thing you can ask a police officer is, excuse me, sir, are you attempting to traffic my person? And the person is the all caps corporation. Okay? And he's going to say no because he doesn't know better, and that's okay. But what he's ultimately doing is he's giving you a ticket, an affidavit of fiction, and that's got a 30-day notice. You've got a choice to show up at court, right? You know that if you don't show up at court, you're presumed guilty, right? And you know that they're going to then sell that as a debt instrument. But what you don't know is that in every court case, they're going to open up a trust in your name. Now, did you give them permission to do that?
And I did not.
No. And then what they're going to do is they're going to put 3 bonds in that trust. They're going to put a bid, a performance, and a payment bond in there. And then they're going to basically trade you on through your Sesta KV trust, which you didn't even know you had, and they're going to make anywhere from $2 to $5 million per traffic violation. And technically, in the background, they are then selling those as debt instruments. The courts are selling them as debt instruments up to the Treasury.
They told you a no license ticket was just a fine. But here's the secret they never wanted you to know. Every no license case writes a bond in your name. Appearance bond when you're arrested. Performance bond if they put you on probation. Surety bond when the bail agent steps in. We pulled Eddie's ledger, Montgomery County, December 2024, $200,000 bond attempt, backed by Palmetto Surety Corporation. No trial, no conviction, just a price tag on his right to travel. Rule 67 says the clerk must account for every bond. And the GAO, decision B18858 confirmed it. Funds deposited in the registry of the court are public monies. So why haven't you seen your ledger? Because they don't want you to know you've been financing their system.
So they're making good money on issuing traffic violations, and that's why they have a quota. So what you could do is you could turn around and grab an affidavit of truth, because in an affidavit of truth, it's all common law. So you leave the court systems completely behind because they're all corrupt at this point. They're all just administrative maritime courts. And what you can do is you can operate. So imagine you're on a playing field down here, Ann, and this is maritime. We're going to take it to a playing field up here. And by the way, the playing field down here, we're like in the football field, and we're all the way back to the 1 yard line because no one ever taught us how to play offense.
Okay guys, here is another quick one for you. I'm just trying to show you guys some stuff that took me probably 2 or 3 years just to find. So sec.gov, go to sec.gov, go down here to search Edgar. Yes, you can go to it up here. Something weird about it when you're doing this though, so come right down here, boom, search Edgar. Want you guys to put in birth certificate bonds. We'll say bonds. Usually I'll do bond, but we'll say browse filing type. Here's the key right here. See all this stuff? Man, you could get lost in here for days. Believe me, I have. So that's how I found this. So I'm going to try and save you guys hours. 9 or N as in 9, 8A, filter, search. Wow, what is all this stuff? So you can go through here, you can look at all the birth certificate bonds that have been filed. These are actually companies that have them in here. In between some of these, you'll find people's names. Notice though how I did the search. I did do it in all caps. I'm going to show you one that I did not in all caps, because here's the difference. So you do the exact same thing. I want you to do the exact same thing, but I want you to look birth certificate bonds and just capitalize the top letter like that. Just capitalize the first letter. You're going to see it's a whole lot less than what was in there before. I want you guys just come right down here to the bottom one. You guys can search through, but I'm going to give you the gist of it real quick. See this? Oh, my goodness. Look how much. And what did he put up for collateral? What did he securitize after he took it over in his trust? Let's go see. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. An authenticated California birth certificate. Okay, here is another one I cannot keep to myself. I actually learned this from Derek Gonzalez, so I will never take credit. I will always give credit where credit is due. Everybody always says, oh, the birth certificate is not monetized, it's not securitized, it's not anything. Nothing ever happens to it, right? Okay. Well, here is vital records and vital statistics in the United States. This is for uses, users, systems, and sources of revenue. Well, why would vital records say sources of revenue? So while you can read all of this, and please do because it's very interesting, here is what I want you to pay attention to, because this really tells you everything you need to know. So I'm going to expand that a little bit. We're going to zoom in a little bit. Hospital. Where does it start? Oh, prenatal OB. Oh, and then and this is how it goes, and then boom. And then there goes the money. The money, the money, the money, the bonds, the money. There it is. Birth certificate. 2018. Vital Records Manual. User Manual. Google it. If you know, you know.
But I'm about to take you to a football field right above that. You're going to fly right over to the end zone because you're operating in truth. And no one can rebut truth. So you're going to give them words that no man can gainsay. And in your affidavit of truth, you're going to say in that affidavit, there is no evidence that you didn't just hold me at gunpoint and attempt to traffic my person. There's no evidence that you're not working for a foreign corporation. There's no evidence that you are actually, in fact, a police or policy enforcer for the original republic. There is no evidence that you haven't signed an oath or have signed an oath to we the people, right? So what we are going to do with this affidavit of truth is we're reasonable. It's a negotiable instrument. So this officer can choose to either sign an oath to we the people, or he can choose to resign. He can do anything he wants. He can negotiate this instrument. But technically, he's taking a personal liability with every single ticket that he issues because he is working for a crime syndicate. And because he doesn't know that, that's okay. But in common law, every single man or woman is accountable for their deeds on this earth. So they have to be notified. So you put them on notice. So in your affidavit of truth, not only should it have documentaries to wake this officer up and let him know what's really going on, because again, he's probably a good guy, doesn't know what's going on. But in this affidavit of truth, you can let him know that there are all these things he has to rebut. In other words, he has to prove. You're giving him you're forcing burden of proof back on him that he has in fact signed an oath to we the people. And he hasn't, so he cannot prove otherwise. And when you put it in a negative advertement statement, you're basically saying there is no evidence to show that you did not just do this. Now, this is a very powerful statement. A negative advertement statement is very different than asking them for burden of proof. I'm not saying, hey, under burden of proof, prove to me you didn't just do this. Prove to me there wasn't bank fraud. Under burden of proof, prove to me that you didn't just willingly traffic my person. They can't prove that. But if you say there is no evidence, you're asking him to come to a court of record with evidence. You're forcing him to prove his innocence. So you're saying there's no evidence to prove you didn't just hold me at gunpoint. Okay? And which is extortion. It's forced law. Okay? So when you do this, again, in your affidavit of truth, you give him a timeline. He's got 30 days to seek a trial by peers or to cure, or he is now personally liable. And you can rack up these charges to about $1 million a pop. So if some of the people knew this right now and they were serving affidavits back to police officers, we're really just flipping the playbook. And at that point, this becomes a debt instrument.
I want to know why you beat up an old man.
I didn't beat him.
Yeah, you did. He's got 2 black eyes and a concussion. And then you charge him with obstructing? Show me that ass balls.
Dude,
I want your bond number. How many times do I got to keep asking?
I know you said that. I don't know what that is.
You have an surety bond that's from Pennsylvania. The city pays for it. You and the mayor. So I left word with her. She's going to call me and give it to me. Are you listening?
I'm listening.
The lady right in here, I left my phone number, okay? You got all my information right there.
Okay. You want my bond?
I need your bond number.
My bond number? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want a grammar request form?
I don't need a grammar request. This is all legal stuff. You have to give me your bond number.
Okay. I will get that to you. Do you have an email I can send it to, or?
It's in there. You got to look for it.
Okay. I'll look for it.
Pro tip, if you're in court and you're still using the Constitution, you're barking up the wrong tree. Now, if you want to really make them shit their pants, understand the financial instruments, bonds, indemnity bonds, etc., etc. Now, here's how you make them shit a brick. Ask for the CAFR. Since supposedly these courts have to work on impartiality, the CAFR and the IMF, individual master file, will prove that they're violating impartiality. And not only that, the court is making money off of finding you guilty. If that doesn't sound like RICO, I don't know what does.
Today we're going to talk about the Ninth Amendment, okay? And the Ninth Amendment, the part about rights not listed but still held by the people. What do you think that actually means? Okay, so if you want to pursue it to something, jump back to the Declaration of Independence, paragraph 2. It says, "We hold these truths self-evident that all men are created equal, and that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Now, the Ninth Amendment clearly states that the people have rights that are not listed in the Constitution. U.S. citizens under the 14th Amendment don't have that right. You've accepted the government as your creator. You agreed by taking the Social Security number and getting the ID. It's the mark of the beast. We are in end times. Hell on earth, and people are volunteering for it. But if the Ninth Amendment says that you have rights that are not listed, and you people can't even understand that you have rights that are listed, you do not qualify as the people. U.S. citizens are not the people. U.S. citizens was created under the 14th Amendment after the Civil War. Means that you was created by the creation that the people created.
So speaking of the birth certificate becoming a banknote, a bond traded on the international stock market, when it was registered into international commerce, speaking of that, I was actually doing the ABCD instructions for the rescinding of informant signature on birth record. So as a parent, you can rescind your signature. It's your right. You just have to know how to do it. So speaking of doing that, as I was making those videos, I was like, hey, here's something cool that people would probably really appreciate. You see that right there? That right there. In green over here is the parent's name. It says, hereby stand as belligerent claimant upon these rights and others as required. What does that mean, right? You're in luck. Let me explain. Federal District Court Judge James Alger Fee. You see that? He made a ruling, and this is what it said. This ruling, the judge just instructed you on how to proceed. He said that rights are not accorded to the passive resistant. That means if you don't know your rights, if you don't stand up for your rights, you ain't got them. Rights are not available to the individual who is ignorant of his rights. You see, that's a judge telling you. Nor are rights available to a person who is indifferent, or in other words, a person who simply doesn't care. And further, Judge Fee has clearly informed you that your attorney, this is key, cannot truly represent you. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to explain it all, but let's continue. Judge Fee tells you that rights are only available to the belligerent claimant. There's that word, belligerent claimant in person. He further stated that to claim your rights in a court of this country, you must be willing to engage in sustained combat. That might be real confusing, right? I know it is. That's why we came, to be the damn change, to take things that are more complicated and to simplify them for my fellow man. So you can know, so you can stand up too. Let me explain what it means. Well, we'll start here. CJS, what's that? Corpus juris secundum, right? Attorney-client. This is why the attorney can never truly represent you. Nobody told you, when you sign over your power of attorney to an attorney, you give up your unalienable rights. So now, you don't know that the actual attorney is subject because he gave an oath. An attorney's first duty is to the courts, the public, not the client. So it means his first duty, his oath, is first to the bar and to the courts. The courts are commerce. He can't represent a living man because he has an oath first there. So when you sign over power of attorney, you fall under that. Now you've given up your unalienable rights and you're subject to what he's subject to. Only you can do this, and that is what a belligerent claimant is. It means you're willing to stand up for your right, take hits, and be the change you want to see. You can't be passive, you can't lay down, you can't remain silent, you have to be the change you want to see. That's why it says that you become the belligerent claimant claiming your rights. Be the salt, be the light, and be the change. State Nationals rock.
Before a court can do anything to you, it must have jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means legal authority, and there are three kinds that must be present. Subject matter jurisdiction. Does the court have the authority over this type of case? Every court has limits on what types of cases it can hear. A traffic court can't decide a murder case. A probate court can't handle divorce. Subject matter jurisdiction is about the court's legal authority over the topic or category of the case. If the court doesn't have it, everything that happens may be void, like it never legally existed. Personal jurisdiction. Does it have authority over you, the person, or the living man, woman? A court must have legal authority over the person being brought into the case. This usually requires you live in the state or district, you were served properly, you had meaningful contact with the place or the issue, nexus, and in what capacity were you acting in? Regulated activity, private affairs, etc. Personal jurisdiction is mandatory. If a court lacks it, any judgment it enters is void ab initio, void from the beginning.
So I went ahead and found a Supreme Court ruling for each state that clearly states that once a jurisdiction is challenged, it must be proven. It is very important to know the jurisdiction that the court is operating under. It's like showing up to a football game and you don't know the rules of the game. The coach tells you that you're playing wide receiver, but you don't know what to do. How can you know how to properly represent yourself or how to properly be represented if you don't know the rules of the court? How can you plead guilty or not guilty and you don't understand what's really going on in the courtroom? Not only does each state provide case law that states that we have the right to challenge jurisdiction, the U.S. Supreme Court also ruled in Higgins v. Levine that we have the right to challenge jurisdiction. So when you make your special appearance, which is a tool defendants can use to challenge jurisdiction over them, you know what time it is.
Territorial jurisdiction. Did the event happen within the court's legal boundary? Courts only have power within their geographic boundaries. If something happened outside their county, state, or district, that court might not be allowed to touch it. Think of it like this. A California court can't enforce a Florida speeding ticket unless due process is met and proper procedures are followed. If even one is missing, the court's actions can be void, not just wrong, void. If any one of these three is missing and you raise the issue properly, the court's actions may be legally invalid. Now, here's the catch. If you speak on the facts of the case without objecting to jurisdiction, you may waive your right to challenge it. That's why special appearance exists. It's a lawful way to show up only to dispute jurisdiction without granting it by a general appearance, which is always presumed unless rebutted. American Jurisprudence 2D, Appearance Facet 2. Appearances have been classified as either general or special. An appearance is special when the defendant appears to object to the court's jurisdiction over the defendant's person and confines the appearance solely to that question, jurisdiction.
Why is it always state versus you? Why not you versus the state? Let me tell you why. Because the state is a corporation, and you, the living, breathing soul, are not. A man cannot litigate with a fiction. A fiction cannot drag a living man into court without consent. Held v. Hinkle, the Supreme Court said, you have the right to operate in private. You owe no duty to the state or its agents. No judge, no prosecutor, nobody. Dartmouth College v. Woodward, a corporation is artificial, invisible, intangible. It has no body, no blood, no breath. So ask yourself, how can it sue a man of flesh and blood? It can't unless you agree to be the fiction and they trick you like they file charges against your name in all caps. That's not you. That's the corporate trust, your public person. If you answer to that name, if you hire an attorney, you just consented to be the surety. You took on the debt. You walked into their game. Don't play their game. Challenge jurisdiction. Demand. Who is the accuser? What man or woman is bringing the claim? What is the injured party? No living accuser, no controversy, no jurisdiction, no case. 28 U.S.O.C. paragraph 3002. The United States is a federal corporation. So is the state of California, state of Texas, and state of Florida. But California, Texas, Florida, those are our land. We the people. You want remedy? Executive Order 13215. If they're treating you like a U.S. citizen without consent, invoke that EO. Demand to be treated under common law rights, not administrative codes. The public trust is a game of consent. Learn to say, I do not consent. I require a living man or woman. Prove jurisdiction or release this matter. And if they don't, they're operating in fraud. And fraud always destroys everything it touches. Don't answer to the fiction. Stand as the living, and the game collapses.
A special appearance may not be used to challenge subject matter jurisdiction. American Jurisprudence 2D. Appearance FAW 1. What constitutes appearance? A party appears when he, she takes any action other than objecting to personal jurisdiction that recognizes the case is pending in court. And procedural due process? It's your constitutional guarantee, proper notice, a meaningful opportunity to be heard, a neutral decision maker. If due process is denied, the ruling can be challenged as void under well-established law. Jurisdiction is a matter which, when contested, should be proven by the prosecution as a prerequisite to the authority of the court to enter judgment. State v. Badorf, 293 NC, 486, 1977. This means that if a defendant raises a jurisdictional challenge, the court must ensure that jurisdiction is properly established before proceeding. Additionally, the burden of establishing jurisdiction falls on the plaintiff or prosecution. The plaintiff bears the burden of establishing that the court has jurisdiction. Mavericks Photo, Inkvasum Brand Technologies, Inco, 647 F3D, 1218, 1223, 9th Sir, 2011. The plaintiff bears the burden of establishing that jurisdiction is proper. Sher v. Johnson, 911, F32, 1357, 1361, 9th Sir, 1990. So remember, jurisdiction plus due process equals lawful authority. Without both, courts can't proceed, unless you let them by silent acquiescence because you filed nothing with the court to challenge jurisdiction. Verba volant, scripta manent. Spoken words fly away, written words remain. Don't just take my word for it. Research and comprehend. Don't make up things because you heard it from somewhere and you didn't verify. Use a Black's Law dictionary to break down legal words and put them into correct context.
The first thing that you need to ask the judge is, do you see a man standing in front of you? And they're not going to answer at all. And then say, well, I pity you, judge, because if you don't see a man standing in front of you, then you are completely incompetent. You are mentally incompetent to deal with this court. Because if you're hearing and seeing dead people, you cannot hold the court.
What would
So
you just actually playing that out? Let's play that out. I just want to. Sorry, guys, we're going to end up now. I'm going down, going into this a bit more, but I think it's important. If I did that, and the judge is just refusing to answer me, or just carries on railroading, how would you handle that situation?
Well, the minute you say he's incompetent and he cannot hold the court, then it's case dismissed. They cannot continue once you've made that acquisition. They cannot continue. Simple.
So you get that out before anything, basically.
Before anything. What they're trying to do is they're trying to create the joinder with the name, because what they're asking is for the all caps name. And as soon as they call your name out and you go, yes, or I am such and such, you're corresponding with that all capitals name. So first of all, before anything that they say, you say, judge, do you see a man or a woman standing in front of you? And they're not going to answer. You know, all this rubbish with the oaths and what have you. I mean, that doesn't work. If you say, are you on your oath? They don't answer that either, because none of these judges are on their oaths unless they're in a crown court or whatever, you know, QCs. So straight away, you've got them on the back foot. You know, what is your date of, because they haven't given you a dictionary, when they ask you, what is your date of birth? You can say something like, well, a date of birth was given to me on the day I was born. You're answering the question without answering your question. So you can't be done for contempt of court. So you're spinning it. So you're doing exactly what they're doing. So instead of what is your name, what is not your name? You can say that to him. What is not my name? That's a verb. Simple.
Pay attention to everybody's voice and the things that they say.
The corporation that you ticketed is within the state of New Hampshire, yes or no?
Your Honor, objection. She can't give an opinion on a legal matter.
Well, he didn't even pass the bar. How do you give any opinions on the legal matter?
Objection sustained.
I don't even know how he could be my prosecutor or be up here.
Do you have any questions of the witness?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you said you write tickets for the city of Keene. How many tickets per hour do you usually write?
Maybe the average amount of tickets is like 30 a day.
How much are you being paid for this appearance?
I get my normal hourly rate.
So what is that?
Just $25 an hour.
$25 an hour?
This meter maid is so not used to being asked questions like this, she actually answered the question of how much she's getting paid to testify. That is, come on, conflict of interest. They're being paid to testify. I bet you the DA is screaming inside of his mind right now, wishing he can object, but he can't. Why? Because she's not acting like a normal public defender. She's acting like one of us, questioning the things that should be questioned that public defenders won't question.
Are you a cop or a deputized?
Oh.
So she just admitted that she's not even a law enforcement, but is getting paid to testify. Think about the legal liability that has on the court, the executive branch, and everybody who's running the courts.
Who is the complaining party in this incident?
City of Keene.
Objection, non-responsive, that's not a human being.
Overruled.
So is there a victim? And if so, who is it?
I object. This is a government.
There has to be a victim for there to be there has to be cause, and there has to be injury. I'm not really referring to that. Well, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to this.
Can I finish, please?
Now pay attention to this next move right here. This move where he grabs his ear, I believe he's signaling to the DA, but pay attention and watch.
Yeah.
This goes to her motion to dismiss, I think, so I'll let her ask a couple of questions related to that. So the objection is overruled for now. Go ahead, Ms. Freeman. Would you like to repeat the question, please?
Is there a victim in this matter, and if so, who is it?
I have no idea. I don't understand what you're asking.
Is there a victim in the matter that we're here for today?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe that there's even a victim, but you believe, okay.
I object. She's not an attorney. She's not a paralegal.
Okay, and...
But I don't disagree.
Hell no, the judge don't disagree, and let me tell you why. Because a paralegal or a lawyer would know better than to not ask these questions on the record. They are being asked, and she is proposing questions that are bringing real problems to the table. And they are nervous. They don't know how to respond. We need floods and floods of this kind of litigation from litigants that are pro se, or sui juris. This is how you need to be questioning everything.
Actually, what is the city of Keene?
And then boom, she hits him with a dynamite question, the kill shot. And let me tell you why, because they know that the city of Keene or wherever is just a municipality, which is a quasi-corporation. Now they're getting into for-profit problems.
Enforcement officer that she has the capacity to answer that legal question.
I agree with the objection. That objection is sustained.
And do you have any evidence besides your claim that the meter was actually expired today? Well, that's not an evidence. She's just claiming it again.
Answering your question. Anything she answers is technically evidence.
Did you hear my question? Because my question was, do you have any evidence besides your claim that the meter was actually expired?
Other evidence? I don't understand.
Was there a picture? Did you take a picture of the meter blinking? Or are you just claiming that it was blinking?
I claim that it's blinking. And
But do you have any evidence other than that?
No.
Okay, no. Okay. Do you have any evidence that I was operating the car?
Doesn't matter who's operating the car. I got evidence the car was parked there. I don't understand what you're asking.
Do you have any evidence that I was operating the car?
No.
No. Do you work for a corporation?
I work for the city of Keene.
Move on, please. The objection is removed.
All right, so if you notice right there, the camera feed stops. So if this was filmed by the court, they cut a part of it out because she objected and wanted to say that that was part of a municipality, which is a corporation. She's nailing it. And the fact that that part was cut out of this video shows you everything, that they don't want you to see that kind of information.
Okay, is the City of Keene a corporation?
I don't believe so.
All right, I move to strike her testimony because she's incompetent to testify because she doesn't need to know that.
Overruled, you've asked her questions, she can't answer, that's not necessarily uncommon.
She's
So that's overruled,
incompetent
please continue.
Does the corporation you work for, which is the City of Keene, own the parking space in question?
I believe they do.
Well, how did they come to own it?
I have no idea.
I've reviewed your motion, and I'm not sure I understand how the question is relevant even to your motion.
Okay. So it is your opinion that the corporation that you ticketed is within the state of New Hampshire, yes or no?
Your Honor, objection. She can't give an opinion on a legal matter.
He didn't even pass the bar. How can he give any opinions on the legal?
Objection sustained.
I don't even know how he can be my prosecutor or be up here. All right, I'm done asking questions for her, and I'd like to call the state as a witness. I mean, the City of Keene as a witness.
This isn't your time to call legally as a witness.
Okay, well, I'll do that when I can. I rest my question. And it seems to me, can I answer? I can't answer that ever?
Yeah. The problem I have is this. The testimony that I heard was that the vehicle was registered to a church. And there was nothing to indicate that Ms. Reed was operating the vehicle or parked the vehicle. And the evidence was also that when she came in to contest the vehicle, it wasn't just her, it was her and Mr. Crickle that came in and contested the ticket. And while it may not make sense for someone who wasn't the person who parked the car to come in and contest the ticket, but I also don't have the ordinance here that tells me who the properly chargeable person would be for the parking. So I can't say that the state has met its burden in this case. So the motion to dismiss is granted.
I hope you enjoyed the second one. You're getting even more of that fifth dimensional image of every angle of what's going on brought to you. It's starting to make sense. By number 3, you're going to get it, and by number 4, you're going to get excited and you'll probably want to use it. Again, this is all doable, all done through the mail, all legal, and all lawful.